Hi Virgo, we're here with your higher octave reading for the period of August 26 to September 9. I'll get straight into it. As I mentioned at the end of the first reading, there's a lot of cards here that are repeating from the first spread. I'll talk about each one of them as we go around, but you have the Hierophant, you have the Sun in the reverse position, same as last time. You have also the Hermit here. This time he's in the upright position and it's in the quadrant of your environment. You also have here, this card is called the Four of Crystals. It's the Four of Swords from the Rider-Waite deck, and it's in the same position. You had the Four of Swords here in the first spread, which I think is really interesting, and it's just reaffirming as what I said earlier in the first spread, that it's like your process now is about contemplating what it is that you've achieved so that you can reinvent yourself and move forward into a new era of yourself. It's confirmed here by the card called Universe in this deck, which is the World card in the Rider-Waite deck, and it's in the reverse position here, and that would kind of indicate to me, this is in your hopes and fears quadrant. It says to me that perhaps you're coming to the kind of closing of a cycle, but it's not quite yet time to end something and move into the next thing, but you are already contemplating your reinvention. It feels like as I said in the first spread, you've got so much you've already achieved, but you're also ready. It feels like you're ready. You're coming to a time very soon where you will be willing and able to let go of what you've already achieved so that you can move into a new era and allow yourself to have new goals and new things to strive towards. And perhaps it's building on what you've done in the past, but perhaps it can be an entirely new venture of expression, of some type of creative pursuit. You could be opting to start some type of study. You might be... You have here this card I'm holding, it's called Inventor. It's the Man of Crystals in this deck, which is the Swords element. It feels to me like for some of you, you're actually like on the cusp of something entirely new that the world hasn't even seen before. And you might not even know what that is yet. I think there's a lot of the energy that I'm feeling here with, like, taking stock of what you've achieved so that you can set it aside and create a huge space for yourself to allow new energy to download to you, something entirely unseen by the world before. It's very exciting, but it's also a little bit kind of scary if you're like, if you're a working person and you kind of know that you need to keep working and and it's like a little bit stressful because you have to generate your own income, and you don't know what that thing is yet that you're going to do next. But it's exciting because it actually is really close. It's really close. It's like very much in the periphery of your awareness. There's something there. You might not know what it is, but life is pushing you forward into something entirely brand new. And you have here at the top of the reading here, you have these cards here, which are really exciting. I'm going to share. So this one's called Commencement. It's the Four of Worlds. So that's the Four of Pentacles. The one in the middle here is called Breakthrough, and it's the Seven of Worlds, another earth element. And this one is called Success, and it's the Ace of Worlds. So a lot of earth energy, Pentacles. And all of these cards are sort of saying to me that that you're on the cusp of something big. Maybe you're in the development stage. Maybe you already know what it is that you want to present that's new. Maybe it's still forming and you have some inkling of something brand new that's really close to your awareness, that's about to drop into your mind. Either way, you have a lot of energy behind you. It's like the wind is at your back and life is really supporting you to push forward into some type of new endeavor that the world is really ready for. even though all of these cards are in the reverse position, I don't feel like there's anything negative about it. It just says to me that like a lot of this stuff is still forming. It's still in the unconscious mind, and that's part of what that moon card was at the crowning card of the previous reading was saying to me. It's that these ideas are still forming. You are aware that there is something new that wants to be birthed through you. And your work right now, what you know you need to do is take quiet time to meditate and allow that new idea or that new invention or that new project or that new something that maybe you don't know what it is, maybe you do know what it is, but you need to create a space in your mind so that you can receive that information from the universe. Okay? Commencement is the name of this card. You're at the cusp of a brand new beginning, and it's something very new and exciting that the world is ready for. There's this real feeling here of like, yeah, with the universe card here and the Four of Crystals. It's like it says to me here that if you put the time in now to meditate and to visualize and to create a space in your life for something new to come through, there's so much support in the world and in the unseen world and in the physical world for you to bring that thing into being. Okay? So you have here in the central axis of the reading, in this horizontal line, in the recent past is the card called Death, and in the outcome is the Hierophant. And again, you had the Hierophant in the first spread, in the position of your hopes and fears. And I was kind of reading this to talk about how this is a time for you to kind of contemplate and take stock of where you've come from and where you are right now in order to embody a sort of authority. That's what this card is giving me. It's authority. You've achieved something, and it's whatever it is that you've been working on for the last however many years, you've put in the time, you've put in the effort, and you are now an authority in a certain field. And in effect, you can use that authority or that knowing, that wisdom or that practical experience to move forward into something new that maybe carries some of those things forward. Maybe it's something completely different altogether. It doesn't really matter. The idea is that you've achieved a sort of level of mastery of the physical realm and certain types of authority and mastery over the mental space as well, I guess, because in order to achieve something in the physical world, to have, worked on something for so many years and seen it through to success, you gather a lot of skills along the way, besides whatever it is that you've birthed into being in that project. You learn a lot of other skills along the way, and it's those skills and that authority and that level of mastery in the physical world, in the business world, in your whatever emotional world, you're carrying that forward into something new. And in doing so, if you're willing to take that time to contemplate, and if you already know that you've kind of gone as far as you can or as far as you want to with a certain endeavor that you've been in, like you've got the Hangman here as your crossing card in the center of the spread, coming from the Death card. This is your challenge. This is where you're coming from, and this is your challenge. So what that says to me is that you know that if you've achieved all you can or all you want to in a certain field, in order for you to move forward into something brand new, you've got to let that go. And that's really hard to do if you have like a certain level of, comfortable material reward coming from that thing. If you want to move forward into something new and bring into birth something entirely new into the world, you have to let go. You have to let go of this thing so that your energy is available for this other project, for this other endeavor. I hope this is making sense. For me, it feels really clear. I just hope I'm giving you the right language that is helping you to understand the energy I'm feeling. Having the Hierophant coming out here in this card, in this position of the outcome, when in the previous spread you had it in the hopes and fears, I could also interpret that to say that perhaps you're moving into an area where you're teaching. Whatever it is that you mastered in the last few years of whatever you've been practicing or whatever your business has been or whatever job you've been doing, if you're ready to kind of see that cycle to a close, this could mean that you're coming into a time now where you teach those skills to other people and that you become a mentor for others. Perhaps you'll write a book about it, or perhaps you'll start to, I mean, that's sort of like a traditional way of teaching, but like the world is totally different now than it was 10 years ago. So perhaps teaching could mean something like having a YouTube channel, or it could mean having a podcast or something like that. Maybe you do something entirely different in the world of education, mentorship, teaching others, sharing your knowledge, being in this position where you as an authority in the field of pursuit that you've been engaging in for the last however many years, and now turning your skills into tools to educate others or to help others who are coming up. Okay? And in the center of the reading you have this card is called the player, sorry, it's called player, it's the child of worlds, so it's the page of pentacles in the traditional Rider-Waite deck, crossed by the hanged man. Again, I would read this as to say that, I would interpret it to say that fundamentally your energy, like the theme of this, the feeling of this, the spread overall is that you want something new. You want to shift it up. You want to switch it up a little bit. You want to like start something different. You want to like, for your own sense of well-being, to actually like be a little bit challenged in a fun way, do something different. And the feeling I get also too, again, with this Hierophant card and with the Death card and the Hanged Man there in the middle, also with the Hermit here, I'll get to that in a second. It feels to me like there's a part of you that is kind of coming into this stage of, let me find the right word. It's a kind of level of mastery, like when you've achieved a certain amount in your own life, and you like understand and realize, okay, I've achieved so much. I'm an authority in a certain field, and I have experience. And I can share that with other people. That's the feeling. I mean, the Hanged Man card here, if you can see the picture there, there's an image of Christ. He's upside down here, but I mean, essentially the frequency of the Hanged Man card is actually about Christ consciousness. And we can easily get it twisted because religion is so fucked up. They totally manipulated the real meaning of this energy. But what it's really about actually is just that willingness to be in service. That's all it is. It's just about being in service to others, for all of us to rise up together in healing. But okay, that's a little bit maybe too lofty. And what I'm talking about here is more, it's more about just you as an individual having achieved something and realizing that you have something to offer to other people who are just embarking on the journey that you've already been through, so that you can actually support others on their journey by sharing the skills that you have and the knowledge that you have. It's super beautiful. But I love that you're coming into this feeling of like having this sort of level of, you know, achievement and accomplishment in your field, but you're coming into this new, you're sort of coming into this new cycle of wanting to undertake this new endeavor, but coming at it from this feeling of like playful, childlike energy. I love it. It's so beautiful. It's so fresh. It's really uplifting. It's very refreshing to feel that sense of childlike wonder and playfulness when you're talking about someone that's actually completing a cycle and moving into sort of a type of eldership. That's kind of the word I was looking for before, but it didn't really feel quite right, and it still doesn't. But I'm using it now because I don't find another word that fits quite right. But eldership in the sense of like you have awareness, you have skills, you have experience, you have achievement and accomplishment, and now you're going to use that or provide that experience to others and give it in the form of service and support and sharing. It's like you've come through all that kind of young, youthful, like, not competitiveness or like, yeah, I guess competitiveness is the right word. And you come to a point where it's like, no, we're all in this together, and I'm just going to share my skills and share my knowing so that we can all rise up and everyone gets the chance to like have the experience they want of undertaking something they're passionate about and being successful at it. and you can share your skills and your experience with people so that they get the chance to learn what you learned, figure things out that you already figured out, and you can help them to do that by sharing your experience. Okay, we didn't talk about any of these cards really at the base here. As I said, you have the Sun card here in the reverse position, as you did in the previous spread. In the previous spread, it was kind of, this card coming in this position here is like the recent past, or where you're coming into where are you coming into this energy from. And in this spread, in the higher octave reading, it's in the position here of you. And it's with the 8 from the major arcana, which in this deck is called balance. In the Rider-Waite deck, it's called strength, and you had that also in the previous reading. So again, it's more of the same. I'm just going to repeat myself a little bit here, where it's like you're coming from a place of success and accomplishment and you know, satisfaction from having achieved, and you're in a state of mind where you're willing to share your knowledge and share your experience with other people so that they can have their moment to feel and do and achieve something that they're passionate about. In this quadrant here, this is your environment or people around you, or an extension of your energy as well. And here we've got, again, the Hermit, which you had in the first spread in the very center of the reading. And it's with this card here it's called growth. It's the 10 of Wands in this card, and it's in the reverse position. So if you think about the 10 of Wands in the Rider-Waite deck, it's the image of the man who's holding a bundle of sticks over his shoulder. And the weight of that bundle of sticks is unbearable, and it's time to put it down. Especially when you see it in the reverse position. It means like it says that you are willing to put down the burden and let go of that sort of, you know, martyr-ish kind of feeling of like all the responsibilities that you have to carry or whatever. And in this spread and in this context, I would read this to say that you are willing to let go of all the things that you've been doing, and all the kind of like responsibilities that you've had, and the way you've been doing it. Not just what you've been doing, but the way you've been doing it, in order to kind of, like I said in the first reading and also here, like reflect on what you've achieved and take some time to kind of like just pull your energy back into yourself for a bit and just recover and reflect and like find the light in you again. It's almost like when you can put down all the workload and put down all the responsibilities and just take a moment to reflect and find the inner light again, and find it's the feeling I get with that, and what I'm trying to describe is like you put down the workload, you put down the responsibilities so that you can find a renewed vigor, a renewed excitement for work, for whatever it is you're passionate about. Because it feels a little bit like when you've done something and you've been successful at it and you keep doing it, at a certain point it just becomes, you're kind of just going through the motions. And that's what it feels like here with the 10 of Wands. It's like you've achieved, maybe you've even passed the point of like the peak of something that you've been doing. And you've kind of, maybe you've known for quite some time that you want to make a shift and do something different, but you haven't known what that thing is yet, and you've been still like kind of pursuing the same endeavor that you've been doing for a while, even though you maybe lost a little bit of the passion for it. I think this is the moment for you to decide consciously that you're going to shift it up and do something different. You could still keep working in the same field, but you need to reinvent yourself, and you need to either create a space for yourself to either keep doing the same thing that you've been doing, but find a new way to look at it so that it feels exciting and fresh again, and that you feel invigorated, so you're not bored and you're not in this like mundane rote repetition of the same thing every day. But it's feeling fresh, and it's feeling exciting, and it's feeling like you have something valuable to offer, and you feel like your experience is not going to waste just in the mundane day-to-day of like just going to work every day. That you can actually bring your experience and your authority again to other people and be in service to others to help them on their journey of discovering their passion and their entrepreneurialism, whatever it is. The bottom of the deck, again, we have another child card. In the center of the world, in the center of the reading, you have the Child of Worlds, which is the Page of Pentacles in the Rider-Waite deck. And at the bottom of the deck, you have the Child of Cups, which is the Page of Cups. And again, both of these have this beautiful feeling of something new, a new beginning, a fresh start, a very enthusiastic, youthful approach to a new thing. Maybe it's a renewed sense of, like I said, a renewed sense of vigor for something you've already been doing by just having like a refresh on it. Because I think maybe some of you may not need to totally change. Maybe this is not all totally relevant for everyone as far as like shifting into a new role or a new something. Maybe it's not about teaching for you. Some of you, it will just be about finding a way to be renewed and refreshed in the work that you're doing, so that you actually are really feeling it and you're not just going through the motions. But you need to shift something inside of you mentally or otherwise that's making you feel like you're just going through the motions. Yeah, because you have also here the Nine of Cups, which is fulfillment, and the Nine of Crystals, which is called narrowness, which to me says, you know, finding a way to focus your energy a little bit differently or widen your focus. Maybe you've been in one thing and you're just like so in the details of something that you've lost perspective, or you've lost sight of a wider picture of the bigger vision of what it is that you're doing. And find a way to feel renewed and refreshed in what you're doing, so that you can find fulfillment and satisfaction in it if you are feeling a little bit dull and bored in your routine. At the top of the cards, the deck here, yeah, Two of Crystals, which is equanimity, and the Sage of Cups, regenerator. I would just say here, like, yeah, there's a feeling here for some of you. Not everyone will have this thing about like moving into a different role in work where maybe you're teaching or whatever. But for some of you, if you're still invested in what you're doing, and you're not about to shift, and you're not about to change jobs, or you're not about to sell your business or whatever, that it is a reminder that if you need to freshen up your approach, and if you need to renew your sense of excitement for the work that you're doing, you need to find that energy within yourself to purify the mind and purify your just gain more clarity on what it is you're doing and why you're doing it, so you can have a regenerated, fresh excitement and bring more life force to what you're doing, so that you're not just going through the motions. Okay, Virgo, I think that's it. Hopefully I've covered anything. That card wanted to come out. So yeah, here we've got at the bottom of the deck also the Woman of Crystals, who's in the reverse position. I think this to me is also a little bit of a reminder to invoke clarity of mind by actually being willing to let go of things that are not working anymore for you, and just get real. It's a specific message for someone. Keep it real. Be honest at all times with yourself and with like your agenda as you're working through life as a human. You're not going to maximize your potential for your evolving and for you clearing your karma if you're not being honest with yourself. So yeah, purify the mind. Let go of things that don't serve you. Be honest in all things with yourself. If something's not working for you, then you've got to face that fact and change it, do something differently. Whether that means you need to like change your mind about the thing that you're doing. It doesn't mean like stop doing it and do something else. That may not solve the problem if the problem is that you are just not looking at things in the right way, you know. I guess what I want to say with this card here is that I mean, look at the mudra she's making with her hands. It's like she has a clear and vibrant connection between her heart and her mind. This person is working with divine will and has integrated her personal will so that her steps through life are a clear and present essence, expression of herself, let's say. She's the real deal. And it came up reversed for you guys. So I would say for some of you, you need to be in this process a little bit more, where you're actually engaging in a meditative practice where you're actually listening to your higher self as it's speaking to you and directing you, and integrate your own personal will with a higher will. so that you're actually getting the most out of your human experience. Okay, Virgo, I'm going to leave it there. That feels like pretty thorough. I don't know if you can see all the cards. I'm going to move everything down, so I just realized you couldn't see the top cards here. I hope that you can see them now. Yeah. Love you guys. Happy birthday. I'll see you in the next cycle.